Afternoon everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name's Lee, your virtual airline pilot, back with you again for the second of this week's scenery reviews. And yeah, here we are. This time we're back in Asia. We're in South Korea, and this is YEOSU International Airport in South Korea, Romeo Kilo Juliet Yankee. This is a payware scenery by FLY2HIGH, and we're looking at version 1.5.0 for the PC version of Flight Sim 2020. The download's just over 2 gig and it installs at 3.37 gig, so reasonably substantial install. It's available from Simmarket and from Orbx and from FlightSim.to. I'll give you the Simmarket price because it includes taxes. Currently it's there for €20.16, which equates to roughly $21.66 US, or £17.26 UK. Now, US and UK prices are all estimates taken from the euro, and they include tax or VAT at 20%, but that of course may vary depending which country you're in when you make your purchase. So let's have a look at key features. So the key features of this scenery: you have a sloped runway, accurate simulation of the nearest YEOSU airport, handmade ground textures, runways, aprons, paths and roads, accurately modelled and positioned dynamic airport lighting, highly detailed models of all airport buildings, objects and surroundings, and good optimization of frame rates. So this is a nice little scenery, I have to be honest. It's beautifully done, and you'll get a chance to see that shortly. In the meantime, let's talk some history. So history, there's not a lot to talk to you about, but I'll give you the basics here. YEOSU Airport, Romeo Kilo Juliet Yankee, is a public use, mostly domestic airport, owned by the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport and operated by Korea Airports Corporation. The airport is located around 7.4 miles or 12 kilometers north-northwest of the city of YEOSU and some 192 miles or 311 kilometers south of the capital Seoul. The year 2019 saw over 635,000 passengers pass through the airport, with over 5,000 aircraft movements and some 3 tons of cargo movements as well. The airport lies almost right alongside the large port of YEOSU, located in Gwangyang Bay. The port handles over 8.3 million tons of cargo each year. YEOSU consists of YEOSU Peninsula as well as 365 islands, of which 48 are inhabited. Being midway along the southern coast of South Korea, it is flanked by Namhae County in South Gwangjeong Province to the east, with a natural waterway, and the Bay of Suncheon to the west and northwest, and the city of Suncheon sprawling along its banks. Airlines operating into and out of YEOSU include Asiana Airlines, Jin Air, and of course the national carrier Korean Air. So that's the history for you folks. Not a lot to be able to look at. Research doesn't reveal very much, but as you can see from this shot, quite a nice little airport. So let's go ahead now and look at the runway. Okay, runways. So as you can see, we've lowered the lighting. It's just 5 minutes before 7 p.m. in the evening local time. It's middle of April 2024. So YEOSU Airport operates a single runway, 1735, measuring 6,890 feet or 2,100 meters, and it's made from asphalt and it's fully grooved. The airport lies at an elevation of 53 feet or 16 meters and sits within the GMT UTC plus 9 hours time zone. Now, South Korea does not observe daylight saving time or DFT, but with the UK now on British summertime 1 hour ahead of GMT, YEOSU is currently just 8 hours ahead of the UK. So we start with runway 17 and we're looking down the throat of it now. It features high intensity runway lighting, approach lighting system with sequence flashing lights, centerline lighting, touchdown zone lighting and precision approach path indicators on the left hand side. And as you can see, this is all correct right down to the flashing lights here. You also got runway end identifier lights here, which are not listed on this end of the runway, but they're in the scenery and that's perfectly acceptable. Here's the runway lighting, there's the touchdown zone lighting and the centerline lighting, PAPIs on the left as they should be. Approach options available for this runway. You have a standard instrument landing system with Y and Z approach options. You also have both RNP and VOR approach options as well. So let's pop down the other end, have a look at runway 35. So here we are looking down the throat of runway 35. Now I've come down this end and I've come quite low, so you can see the slope in the runway here. There's the hump sort of thing. You get a really good idea of the slope. So real runway 35 then, high intensity runway lighting as it's supposed to be. Again, you also have simplified short approach lighting system with sequence flashing lights. So here you have the approach lighting, it's a short version. There should be sequence flashing lights. I can't really see them apart from the flashing red lights on the end of a couple of the stands here. Not really sure about that, but you can see we've got the lighting. Maybe it looks better if we go down a bit darker, I don't know. But again, you've got touchdown zone lighting, there's the center line, and again you have PAPIs on the left hand side, which is correct. You have exactly the same approach options available here as at the other end. Standard instrument landing system with Y and Z approach options, plus you have RNP and VOR approach options too. Now YEOSU does have limitations of operation. It operates between 0600 and 7 PM local time, so we're just about to hit the point where the airport would close. According to the charts, or the information that I can find out, there are no night operations at this airport, and that could be because of noise abatement, not entirely sure. So that does it for runways, really quite interesting. Let's get to the jetway test now. Okay, so jetways, here we are on stand 1. YEOSU has 2 jetways, the rest are open stands. I've spawned directly from the menu and this is where we are. All I've done is position the tug, and this jetway looks sort of like way out of position. Anyhow, we'll try it and see whether we get a connection. Well, you never know, it might work. So that's gone pretty much all the way back there. Still moving. The wheels are moving. I got a feeling this might surprise me. Okay, once again the stairs go into the concrete, but that's the only issue. That's interesting. It bounced back. Let's see if it works a second time. I mean, to be honest, the jetway looks fantastic. It looks visually really good. And the motion's good too, and it looks like it would fit. Let's see whether it manages to do it this time. Okay, so it doesn't quite reach the aircraft. So we're going to have to be really careful about where we position the aircraft. Actually, let's see if we can have a look. So we move the tug away, hopefully, so we can see where the wheel is. And obviously the jetway moves back. Right, I mean, I don't know. Probably the crazy thing is that the aircraft probably needs to pull up to here. But as you can see, the jetway returns perfectly okay. Let's see if we can reposition the aircraft. Okay, so we try again. What I've done is I've disconnected the ground power, got the APU running, and I've used the tug to move the aircraft as close to the end bar as I can. We're pretty much right on it. So let's try the jetway again. Hope this works, because I actually really do like this jetway. Visually it's great. We might get lucky. Okay, we're close but no cigar. Let's have a closer look. So as you can see, we really are not very close at all. That's a real pity. I mean, it's one of the best looking jetways I've seen, but the connection is just really just doesn't work at all. Let's look from the other side. And there you can see, I mean, that looks as though it would fit the aircraft really well, but it just hasn't made the it far enough. And it probably looks as though you're may well going to have to taxi in slightly left of the centre line in order to get a connection. So let's look at the Jetway. So there's an overview of the Jetway itself, which to be honest looks really good. And there's a view from the other side. Like I said, it's a lovely piece of modelling. I mean, look at the weathering and it all looks really good, even down to the glass here. The whole thing looks great. This, I mean, this hasn't even gone into the concrete by much. It's probably one of the better Jetways I've seen. The wheels have ended up facing the wrong way and the Jetway hasn't connected. As you can see from this view, I'm pretty much on the centre line, and in order for that Jetway to connect, you're going to have to come this way a bit. You're going to have to come left of the centre line. So it's going to be a little bit of a jiggery-pokery to see whether we can get this to work, which is a real pity, because the whole thing looks pretty good actually. So there you go, that was Jetways for you. This is something I'll have to bring up towards the developer, because I'm not really sure why this is doing the way it does. It's just a real pity, because it's a wonderful Jetway. But those of you who have GSX Pro, you may not have this problem. I've actually just bought and installed GSX Pro, and for some reason it's not available. So that's something I have to investigate. But that's another story. So there we are, that's Jetways. So let's ignore these issues for the moment. Let's get down to this airport proper and have a close look at what's on offer. Okay, so here we are, it's back in the daytime, just after midday. We'll start the tour at the southern end. You've got runway 35 threshold to the right there. In front of us we're looking at the KCG hangar, which is marked on the charts. Not entirely sure what it is, but you've also got a couple of helicopter spots I think there too. So we'll take a slow tour northwards, heading up past the central area, and then we'll come back and have a look at the airport in detail. So as you can see, I mean, it looks really pleasant. The boundaries, with the airport within the boundary, as it were, you can see the fence there to the left, has been nicely done. Windsock on the right there. Taxiways as they should be. We just come down a bit lower now and we come across to the airside ramp. Just slow it a little bit more. So as you can see, it's really nice, nicely done. The ramp looks good, texture-wise, looks really nice. There's my aircraft on stand number 2. And as we go further north, you can see the various other bits and pieces here as well. Now, I'm not sure if this is a terrain anomaly, but you can see the terrain drops off here, so the airport, nice that it is, doesn't seem as though it's been fitted properly into the local default terrain. And as you can see, it's low resolution. No real attempt has been made to improve the resolution on the terrain. But no, that's fine. This is as far as they wanted to go, and I understand that. And if we come up a bit, there's runway 17 threshold. Okay, let's have a closer look at the ramp and the facilities. There you've got fuel trucks down there to the right. So I mean, it looks nice. It's you know, it's simplified, but it's perfectly acceptable. Buildings are nicely textured. It's very nice. Plenty of clutter, all of it as it should be. And a nicely built terminal, and you can see just from this point here you can see there is some internal development which we'll look at shortly. And you've got this interesting sort of wall here which forms part of the airport boundary, airside landside boundary. Just a little shot there showing you one of the apron signs, or one of the taxiway signs here by the taxiway. So let's have a look at the control tower. Some nice modelling, particularly on the building down below. Right, it looks a bit sort of, I don't know that you can see from outside. Let's pop in anyway, see if it's been modelled. And it has, that's excellent. Just a pity there's no controllers. Would have been nice to see one or two controllers standing or sitting in here. But other than that, excellent. You've got the screens have been done as well. Looks really good. And there's a view out across the airport from inside the tower. Very, very nice indeed. So there's a shot of the tower from landside, and here in the foreground below us you can see the train. There is an animated train, hopefully it will come along in a moment, which is nice to see that that's added, because again it adds to the ambience of the scenery. There it is. Very nice, very impressed with that. And there you can see it's gone under the tunnel, goes up towards the airport, and this is the view from landside. So let's have a quick pass over landside. I mean, the roads are beautifully done, and there you've got signage in Korean language as well. And some lovely models here. Very nice. Car park's pretty good. By and large the vehicles are in their slots. And you can see landside's been quite nicely done here. And there you've got the little security gate down there. Really nice. Don't know how far that train goes, but not so much worried about it at the moment. We're just sort of having a look at this. Now again you can see all sorts of terrain sort of anomalies, if I can put it that way. It's kind of hard to know if it, I mean I wouldn't think for one moment that it's actually like this. So obviously they've opted not to modify the terrain. Okay, so a quick look landside in close detail. Unfortunately there you can see the sign, which is beautifully done, is actually sitting above the road. It's not been properly put into the road. And again, you know, you've got some lovely modelling here, but it's let down to the fact that you've got no people, there's no life, there's no activity here. Somebody recently said, oh, I'm sort of into people. Oh, hang on a second. There we are, we've got a couple of people, a couple of static people, so I'm pleased. Somebody recently said that I'm sort of into people. It's not so much that I'm into people. The Flight Simulator now, literally over 3 years into the development, we've got a flight simulator that allows us to see so much detail and so much quality that brings airports to life in the way that they never were before in some of the other sims. And a large part of that is due to passengers and people, both animated and static. So when you add these people, it brings the airport to life. And it's just a pity that, you know, now we have a situation where you've got people models, both animated and static, that don't affect the frame rate at all. You can add shed loads of people and it doesn't detract from the frame rate or the motion, and developers choose not to do it. And so you end up with a lifeless kind of airport. I mean, at least they put a few here. They're not that many. Would have been nice to see some taxis, a couple of families maybe getting off, ready to go onto the airport. But as you can see, I mean, it looks really good, and the addition of people models just brings the airport to life a bit. Here you've got some great sort of hoardings, advertising signage, animated South Korean flag, and there below us you've got the railway track, and there's the train going along. And is that a waterfall with a missing bridge? You can see a car going along there. So back to airside to have a close look at what really matters to you guys. As you can see, lots of clutter, all of it absolutely accurate. We had a Korean Airways bus there. Let's have a look here across the ramp. There's my aircraft parked on stand 2. Terminal looks great, the signage looks good. And here's the airport road, the airside road, and again you've got plenty of clutter. We've got another Korean Airways bus there. Very nice. And you can see the jetways are nicely done. So let's go inside the terminal airside and see what we can see. So here we are, very nice, airside lounge, again complete with people, excellent. That's the southern end of the terminal, got a couple of people there by one of the gates. And there you can see an overview of the rest of the airside departure lounge there, looks really, really good. Okay, there's the departures board, which is a bit blurred, and in fact it gets much more blurred when you go up close. It's a pity that's not done at a higher resolution. But as you can see, by and large, that's quite a nice airside scene. Plenty of people, static people there. You've got stairs going down to the lower level. I mean, it looks great. So as you can see, airside looks pretty good, and the interior airside lounge has been quite adequately developed. Very, very nice. No problem at all there, really. So here we are back landside again. Having seen airside interior of the terminal, I wanted to see if the landside bit has been developed. Now you can see through the glass it looks as though it has, or looks as though it has. So let's go in. And indeed it has. Pretty much the same type of development as the airside lounge. Take a slow tour. Some nice signage, advertising hoardings, there's departures. Presumably you go through to security. All of the signage in both English and Korean. A couple of shops that look to be closed there. That's nice, it's very nice. And you can also see out through the glass to some extent, which looks good. Very nice indeed. So that was a daytime tour for you, where we looked at airside and the terminal area landside as well, and interior. It all looks pretty good. The ground modelling, the terrain is all a bit default and a bit low resolution, and the train, they've sort of not made any attempt to sort of model the airport into the train other than what you see, or develop the terrain to fit the airport in any way. But that's fine. You've got an airport that's usable, highly usable, and nicely detailed. So let's lower the light now and let's have a look at the airport at dusk. Okay, 7 PM local time. Lights came on about 5 minutes ago, and here you can see the lighting looks quite pleasant. This really does look pleasant from here. We have green centerline taxiway lights, which is a huge help, and you've also got blue airfield edge lights for the taxiway signage. All looks pretty good. The stands are nicely marked. Don't think you can have too much trouble getting in here in the dusk hours. And as you can see, lots of subtle lighting, no asobo globes around the main scenery area at all. Looks pretty good. And there we are, looking out towards the threshold of runway 17. You can see the lighting goes all the way out there. And you've got that beautiful sunset view over the bay to the north. So let's have a little tour of airside. And as you can see, it looks pleasant enough, and there you can see inside the airside lounge of the terminal, which looks good. The local lighting doesn't look too bad at all, quite impressive. And just a quick look at some of the taxiway lighting here. Again, the ground markings can be seen quite easily. You can see the blue airfield edge lights there. Green centerline lights are of a type that look really good. And there's one of the signs there that's lit. So let's have a look at the control tower. This is the view from airside as we approach towards it. Some basic lighting at the bottom, not an awful lot, but as you can see as we get closer, here you've got 2-tier lighting, which looks pretty good actually. It really does look quite good. Let's go inside. And there you go, there's the interior looking out. There's the view from landside, and one thing we didn't do during the day, let's go into the lower half of the tower. And once again you've got the same internal development. All looks really nice, the lighting looks good, it looks good at day or night, to be honest. I'm really happy with this. But it would have been nice to see 1 or 2 static controllers in here. So there's a view looking landside from here. I'm just waiting to see if the train passes. I want to see if it's lit. Well, it is and it isn't. It's not lit internally, but the lighting is such that you can see the train. So let's just do a low pass from landside. Nicely done. Really, really nicely done here. Again, only 1 or 2 asobo globes that I can see, mainly little on further out on the landside area. And here you've got the inside of the terminal, which is really nicely lit. It gets you. A lot of these airports look better at this time of the day because the lighting sort of brings them to life a little bit more. You get 1 or 2 asobo globes. And this is the Met Tower, but I don't think there's anything inside here. We'll have a look. No. And here you can see taxiway signage, blue airfield edge lights. All looks pretty nice out here. So a couple of quick close-up shots of the main ramp here, so you get an idea what it looks like at the dusk. But again, in these latitudes, the dusk doesn't last too long. It gets dark pretty quickly. So we'll have a quick look before we set to night time. So here's the view from the flight deck. This is what you see when you park up on stand 2. And it's nice, it's quite convincing. There's a view from the captain's side. And the view looking out through the first officer's window towards the runway. So a couple of close-up shots of the terminal here from airside, and you can see right in through the glass. I mean, it's quite an impressive picture. And another view there showing you the inside of the terminal from the departure lounge side. And there's a ramp overview of the airport showing you the airside ramp. As you can see, the sun is going down quite rapidly, and landside looks pretty good as well. Lighting looks quite impressive. There we are looking out towards the from runway 17 threshold, and here you can just see part of the hump in the runway. And there we are looking in the other direction. There's the control tower that's got some lighting that's coming up now, and you've got various features off airport here to explore and look at, should you wish to. So that was the airport at dusk. Let's go fully into night time now and see if the lighting comes up. Okay, 10 PM local time, and as you can see, we're in the dead of night now. And the airside ramp all looks pretty good. I don't think there's going to be too much of a problem taxiing in should you ever have to land at night, but bear in mind this airport does have limited operating hours. I can't see anything on the charts, the details that list exceptions for landing here during the night. I'm sure there must be. I mean, you've got instrument landing capability here, so there shouldn't be any issues landing here at night. But it may be towards local residents here. You've got local sort of local community very close to the airport, so it may well be to do with that restricts the hours, but I'm sure there's probably exceptions to it. Okay, let's get down to the ramp and have a look at airside. And once again you can see the lighting's perfectly adequate. The lights coming from those big stanchions all looks perfectly good. We pass across stand 2 where my aircraft's parked, and there you can see to the right, you can see inside the terminal. Here's the control tower. Once again, some subtle lighting, nothing really serious as it were, but it's enough for you to see that it's lit and it's operating. There's the train below us. And once again a little tour landside. And it looks good, it looks nice. Some of the cars out of position, but I'm not really going to quibble about that at all. Slight change in the lighting there as we approach the terminal. But as you can see, it all looks pretty good. Even downstairs is developed as well. Yeah, not bad at all. And we track back across the airside, and there's lots of nice subtle lighting. And just a quick close-up of my aircraft, and there you can see the YEOSU sign in both English and in Korean. And here we've got a tug that's lit up as well. So that was a quick view at night. As you can see, really not much to go mad about, but perfectly acceptable. Let's bring up the dawn now, and if I position myself correctly, should have the sun coming up behind me. Okay, 6:15 in the morning local time, and there you can see the beautiful red glow on the buildings and just the colour cast over the airport there. Some lovely mountains and things in the background. This is quite a picturesque little airport. We're looking north, there's runway 17 threshold in the distance. And looking towards the south, there you've got runway 35 threshold in the distance, and you get quite the slope on this runway is quite extensive. It does seem to be quite extensive. And there's the sun rising over the mountains on the east side. Okay, half an hour later, here we are, 6:45 AM local time. Time to wrap up the review and give you my thoughts. First, the positives. Beautiful little airport sitting in yet another lovely location. Really, really good. Airside, and in terms of what you need for pilots landing and taking off here, everything you need is there. Detail is good. It's actually quite exceptional in some parts. I really like what they've done. And nice to see some passengers being added both airside and landside. Really, really good. Control towers have been modelled inside, which is a plus, and not only that, they've done the top and the bottom half, which is excellent. That's another really good. And one thing that's not mentioned in the features, you've got the animated train there, which looks pretty impressive. And I leave it to you guys to decide whether you want to see how far it goes. But that's lots of things to like about this airport. Not much on the downside. I think probably the biggest thing that I've noticed is that they really haven't attempted to modify the terrain to fit the airport, or modify the airport to fit the terrain. There are anomalies here and there. I'm not so much worried about the reliance on low resolution textures, sort of like this here. It's a perfectly okay, because there aren't many of them, and the airport itself in the main area, which is what everybody's interested in, all looks pretty good. And you've got the mountains here and the port and all the various islands, lots of things for you to see on the way in here, particularly if you're coming on runway 17 this end. So really not much to sort of say in terms of cons here. The airport really does look pretty good. If I had some suggestions, it'd be nice to see some airside ramp staff. I've said this in a couple of videos recently. Bear in mind, if you go on to flightsim.to, there's now a plethora of human animation libraries containing all sorts of people from airside, from stewardesses to ramp staff to engineers to all sorts. And it would be nice possibly to see some static people around the airside ramp or whatever, just to give it a bit of flavour. But again, it's not a real problem. I have no problem with that at all. It's just a nice little airport. It really is nice. The inclusion of the animated train is a real plus. That wasn't mentioned in the features, and it would be nice if that was lit up a bit at night, because this airport looks really good at dusk, at night time, as indeed many airports do. The lighting here really is wonderful, and it would be nice to see the animated train given some treatment. Price-wise, do I think it's worth €20? Yeah, probably just about. Remember, it's a small airport, but quite a bit of development work has gone into this, and the fact that they've modelled the airport interior, airside and landside, and the inside of the control tower. Be nice to see a couple of controllers put in there, by the way. And they've gone to such detail, particularly with the South Korean signage and lettering. I mean, it's great, and certainly, you need to pay the funds for the work that's been done, and so I think the price is probably about right. It's just under $22 US. As I've said many times before, I have seen airports that are much more expensive than this, with not even half the work that's been done here. I think it's very much worth the price. It's great, but who knows, a month or two, if you don't really need this airport right now, may well come up in the sales. Simmarket has sales from time to time. The other thing is, when you're landing here, guys, you're going to have to watch out for this runway. The slope is really pronounced, and it's a feature, quite a feature of this airport. I can understand it. Be interesting to get into a helicopter maybe and have a look around the islands and see just what's going on around this airport, because it sits in this great big sort of basin. If you remember the chart, in fact, I'll put the ground map up again so you can see the location. But you can see it just goes. The airport sits in a really nice bay with lots going on around it. So it might be worth having a look around here. We'll see. I don't know. But yeah, certainly I like it a lot, and we will fly in here. We'll give it a go and see what it looks like. So there you are, folks. YEOSU International Airport in South Korea, Romeo Kilo Juliet Yankee. It's a payware scenery by FLY2HIGH, This is version 1.5.0 for the PC version of Flight Sim 2020. I'm not sure, I'm pretty sure this is the release version, so maybe they've had a go at a few things before they finally released it, and that's why it's showing 1.5. Download is just over 2 gigs and it stalls at 3.37 gig. Available from various places, Simmarket, Orbx and FlightSim.to, they all do it. Give you the Simmarket prices because they include tax at 20. €20.16, which equates to roughly $21.66 US, or £17.26 UK. As ever, US and UK prices are estimates on the day from the euro, and they include tax or VAT at 20%, which of course could vary depending on which country you're in when you make your purchase, and of course the exchange rate could vary as well. So there you are, folks. Thank you very much for joining me. Another nice little interesting airport. Fly2HIGH, another good developer that's continually improving their skills, and airports are certainly worth looking at and buying. So thank you for joining me. I hope you found this review useful and interesting, and if you've been on the fence about whether you want this, I hope this has helped you make that decision. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you to those people who have subscribed. I'm up to nearly 1,200 subscribers. Thank you very much, guys, for all your support. As ever, I'm a one-man band, and around 50% of the sceneries I actually buy rather than get sent, so I do spend quite a bit of effort with these videos for your edification and to help you make the right decision. So if you want to support my efforts, buy me a coffee. It's only a couple of quid, and it really sort of helps me with the costs of producing these videos for you. So thanks again, guys. I will see you next week in the next videos, review videos that is. I'm still on the world tour. We're going to be leaving Langkawi and flying down to Kuala Lumpur, and I will try and get an approach video out for you with going into Kuala Lumpur, which does look pretty impressive. All the best, take care, I'll see you next time. Bye bye for now.